Test sound. Check 1 2. Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back again. As always, my name is Colin Sambai, and this is the Arena Show. Remember, this is the second episode tonight. The first episode we hosted Kelvin Kipleting, who is the youth president, elected through a community-based organizations. Watu wengi wamekuwa wakiuliza huyu kijana alichaguliwa na nani, lakini alikuwa hapa na akaweza kutuclarifyia ya kwamba alichaguliwa through a community-based organization. On this second episode, we have the Director, Center for Human Rights and Democracy hapa Eldoret, Kipkorir Ngetich, and tuko tunachambua mambo ya siasa, the current politics na pia mwelekeo wa siasa comes 2027. Thank you so much Kipkorir for honoring my invite.
I really appreciate it.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah.
Unajua kwa watu wamekuwa wakichanganyikiwa wanasema kwani hapa Eldoret hatuna mambo ya human rights ama nini? So to start with, ningetaka tu tuambie wewe ni nani, alafu pia utuelezee mambo ya wewe kama director wa Center for Human Rights and Democracy hapa Eldoret. What is your responsibility?
My name is Kipkorir Ngetich. I'm the director Center for Human Rights here in Eldoret. The Center for Human Rights has been here for a long time, for more than 20 years. And we are effective in championing both social, political, and economic rights of our people. And we have been doing that. In most cases, we have an office at Komora Center, and that's where many people come to seek advice and our services. So we have been very effective in doing our human rights work. Perhaps maybe the only diverging point is that there is a misconception whereby people think that when you are a human rights official, your duty is to antagonize the government, is to go against the government. I want to make it very clear that even us as human rights, we still have our own political rights. We have freedom of decision, freedom of choice, and freedom to affiliate ourselves with a certain political party. So human rights does not drop us at patriotism, and did not even drop us the right to decide which political angle you want to live. Yeah.
For example, ukisema watu wanakuja to seek human advice, unaweza tuambia tu kama kesi moja ama mbili ambaye you handle pale Komora Center, ndio watu pia wajue ama ni watu gani unaweza wahimiza una feel ni kama wamefinyika, and you as an organization can help.
We have been doing a number of petitions to relevant government offices relating to the complaint that people might have brought to our office. For instance, there are people who have been having problems with land rights, whereby maybe the lands were taken in a manner that their rights were violated. So we normally do research and make sure that that research we hand over to a relevant government body for action. For instance, we have been referring so many land cases to the director of Shady, which has actually assisted us with his officers from the land fraud unit to deal with a number of cases dealing with land. We also have arbitration. When people have problems, they normally come, we sit, we talk, and we find an alternative dispute resolution. And more so, we have been doing it through the conciliatory approach. When they come together, sit and agree and forgive each other, and agree to settle that issue peacefully. That's our happiness. We have been having issues of domestic violence. We have been having issues of child rights issue. So we have been engaging them first in conversation. However, if it comes to a situation whereby it requires a legal approach, we have been sending so many cases to court.
This is something that has always happened. In a situation maybe a domestic violence, maybe wamekosana, na upelekana kotini. Then they come to you now, waweze kuconcile. Is it possible to still withdraw the case?
First, what I want to say is that domestic violence is not allowed under the Kenyan law. It is a crime punishable under the Kenyan constitution and under the Kenyan laws. So what we normally encourage is that let there be justice first before you engage into kind of reconciliation. We first prioritize justice. For instance, if it is a mother who has been beaten by the husband and has been brutalized, so we feel that such case, that lady should see justice. Yeah, she should see justice. So withdrawing of a case, it is the duty of the complainant. It is not a duty of human rights. It is the duty of the complainant to agree to withdraw his or her own case. So if he or she cannot agree to withdraw the case, then it is right for that case to go to the last point of justice. And we normally say, we don't compromise domestic violence. It's a crime punishable in law. So whoever will engage in such kind of crime should first understand it is punishable in law and it has consequences. So in matters of reconciliation, the approach should be between the two parties. And the initiator of that kind of reconciliation, mostly, it is the culprit. So if the victim does not agree with what the culprit is saying, then the case will have to continue. Yeah.
Which kind of cases are you dealing with mostly? Ama unaweza sema ni kesi gani sana sana ambayo nyinyi mnapata watu wa human rights?
Mostly we normally get issues of domestic violence, which is actually towards the needs of their children. So we also have children cases, which is actually growing up in this area, particularly as a result of having single parents.
Tuliona pale kulikuwa na maandamano ya Gen Z, and we felt the police went overboard. The police brutality is rising, and we can even feel that the gap between
the Kenyan police service has been undergoing serious fundamental reforms on how the police are managing civilians. And progressively, we have done well. We have done well on those reforms. The problem is that first, we are citizens. We need also to know that we have a responsibility. At the time when we are exercising those rights, there is also a responsibility as citizens. One, we don't have a right to stone security officers. We don't have a right to attack them at all. We don't have a right to vandalize other people's property. We don't have a right to do that. Because at the time when you become also a security threat to other citizens, the law will catch up with you. So what we will encourage is that there should be continuous understanding between civilians and the police. And we cannot say that there is a police officer who normally wakes up in the morning and say, okay, my duty today is to go and brutalize citizens. My duty today is to go and kill innocent civilians. There is a trigger that normally triggers such kind of situation. One, the conduct of the demonstrator determines the environment of that demonstration. If you go there with an intention to commit crime, to steal, to destroy property, to stone vehicles, definitely you will no longer be exercising your right. That's all an aspect of criminality already. So we as citizens also, we have the responsibility to ensure that as much as we exercise our own rights and freedom, we must also be responsible. The police on their side also are aware that torture is outlawed under the Kenyan law. And any police officer will be found culpable, will be prosecuted and will be charged in the court of law. And there are many facing charges of such nature or brutality. So we have a responsibility as a citizen, and the police also our code of conduct on how they are operating and how they are dealing with civilians. So there are some very few officers of which we still ask the government, such people, they should deal with it from the inner source, from the inner house. They should deal with it. Other issues that we also need to know is that police officers are human beings. Some of them even are living a highly frustrated life. So they're going to feel when they are already depressed, and the kind of reaction that might come in might not be good at times. So we are not encouraging that, but we are saying sometimes these people also have their own problems that they should be addressed. So they go there when they have also have other issues. But fundamentally, Kenya has done well on matters of police reforms, on how the police are managing civilians. It's only few rocky officers who just go overboard. Otherwise, as a country, we have made strides on how the police have to conduct themselves in managing civilians. And that's why we have a number of them facing charges in the court of law. We have the IPOA, which is doing a great job. And I know they have been doing great job in terms of investigation on the conduct of police officers. Yeah.
When you say there are a few rogue police officers, we have seen, let me just give you an example in the Kimwani LC farm, where there were disputes between the locals and the police. The police were using live bullets on the protesters who are protesting against trying to protect their land, the land they claim theirs. Pia tukaona pia pale Tinderet constituency, there is an aspirant who went missing. Now, when the locals came to protest, the police were using live bullets. Sasa sijui who is now the rogue police, kwa sababu where are these rogue police? Kwa sababu these are the people who have been commanded. Wakitoka pale station natumai unakuwa wamepewa instructions.
That is very correct.
And where are the human rights?
That is very correct. When police officers are going for an operation, they normally go under instruction on what to go and do at that particular time. What normally changes is the environment. Police officers are also human beings. How do you expect a police officer who has a gun? You have a knife, you have a panga, and you want to deal with him in a manner that he will also lose his life. How do you expect that person to react? So it is actually what brings all this chaos is the environment. What triggers? We must ask ourselves in the first instance, what made these police officers to fire that bullet? What triggered? What led them to do that? What led them to shoot somebody? So we must also understand the surrounding circumstances that might have forced the police officers to use measures. There must be a reasonable cause. And when there is a situation when there is no reasonable cause, then they will be prosecuted. We are still doing our own research on that, on what really happened. And we are somewhere, and we believe at the end of the day, we will get justice for those people who might have been wrongly shot. Whenever you demonstrate, the Constitution gives guidelines. You must be peaceful. That's very fundamental, and we must understand that. We must conduct ourselves in a peaceful manner, so that if we have now a ground to make noise and to ask for their prosecution. So we must go back first and ask ourselves, were we peaceful in the first instance? Or did we provoke? But all in all, we are saying the police must conduct themselves in a manner prescribed by the law. There is no person who wakes up in the morning with an intention to go and kill. There is no any police commander who just gives orders to his police officer that go where these civilians are rioting and kill them. It can never happen like that. There is a trigger. And that's the point where we need to have a discussion. What happened? What caused it? And shoot people anyhow. So there must be a very serious investigation over that. And we must understand the circumstances that led that police officer to shoot that civilian.
What do you think about the rise in political intolerance in the region? We have seen, for example, here in Kapseret, we saw a young man was to an extent of being admitted in hospital by the people allegedly to be associated to one member of parliament. So, and also, an extension of that, anaitwa Shadrack Maritima ambaye aliweza kupotea kutoka kule Tinderet constituency. Is the aspirant, okay, apparently this is the second time he's being abducted or going missing. So, Sijui, what do you think as a member of as the director of the human rights?
We want to call upon our we are a dynamic society. We don't have the same thoughts. We have different opinions. And our constitution allows us and allows everybody to have an opinion. That is not a license for violence, because the constitution guarantees freedom of expression. So when we are expressing ourselves on a particular issue, we are exercising our democratic rights. So we are appealing to leaders, especially from the Kalenjin community. Let us avoid this inheritance of superiority complex. That's where the problem is. You want to be superior than others, you want to be seen you are the most influential leader, then you go overboard. And you know, when you do also that, you incite your supporters. And the end result is violence. And you create unnecessary functions within the political arrangement. So we are appealing to our politicians. They should stop using young people for a wrong cause. They should also help these people to understand that right of choice does not mean violence. Right of expression does not mean insult and abuses. Because our constitution gives us the right of expression. But there is nowhere in our constitution where insult and abuses has been substituted as part of human rights. So when I abuse you, I'm not exercising my rights. When I insult you, I'm not exercising my rights. I've gone beyond the principles laid down in the Constitution. I must respect your right, you must respect mine too. So we are urging members of parliament, particularly, please kindly talk to your supporters. We don't want violence. We don't want brutality. We want good leadership. And you know, when you are a leader, the code of ethics calls upon you to conduct yourself in a manner that reflects good governance. So when you do some things that do not reflect good governance, then you don't deserve even to be called a leader. So we are appealing to all our leaders within this region. We are calling them to order. Kindly please stop any form of violence, any form of superiority complex. We don't want it, because you see, we as the Kalenjin community, we are only one spokesperson, and that is His Excellency the President, Dr. William Somairut. We don't have any. So this kind of infighting in between here, looking for superiority complex, is something that we don't like it. And we are also appealing humbly to His Excellency the President to call them into order.
Is there in any way that this local politics is affecting the president?
Very correct.
As far as 2027 is concerned.
Very correct. It is a reflection. And that political reflection does not occur well in the national politics. If we, as a Kalenjin community, we are fighting ourselves. We are fighting ourselves. Our leaders are fighting among themselves. So what sort of image are we telling Kenyans? We are even distracting the president on his call of unity among all Kenyans. So we are telling them, stop shaming the president. The president has gone beyond his political party and reached out to other political parties to bring harmony and unity in the country. So we must follow his footsteps of tolerance, of unity and harmony, and non-violent approach when we are talking over issues. Yeah.
Let's take an example of an issue. Tomorrow there is apparently people are taking sides. Say watu wanasema kuna team A na team B among the politicians, among our current leaders, wengine wako affiliated to other politicians. So we have around two teams here in Ngetich. What do you think of that local politics?
I can say people are allowed actually to have different shades of opinions. But these factions that we are now seeing emerging, they are not good. Because if these groups are meant for good purpose, for instance, ensuring that there is development in this area, there is good governance, that will be okay. But if you are now forming a team to fight another team violently, where are we heading as a country? Where are we heading as a community? So it is primitive actually to create those kind of teams which are actually meant to be used for violence against another team. So we are telling our politicians they should shape up. It is a big shame to see them recruiting youths for violence. Why should you recruit youths for violence? We need to recruit youth for social and economic empowerment, not for violence. You see, can we allow every leader to move around, talk to his people? If you agree with him or her as a youth, well and good. If you don't agree, go where your opinion is. Don't be violent, and do not be used for violence. That's not
now you have
acceptable.
talked about the other people being used for violence. What actually is happening is there is a cold war, exchange of words between these politicians. Hawa wenyewe wanapigana vita. Hawa members of parliament wanapigana vita wenyewe kwa wenyewe. They're not using anybody, but they're just addressing each other on different platforms.
Politicians are politicians. We will only tell them, okay, as you play your own politics, watch out. Don't incite. Don't use inflammatory words that can incite violence. So they should also be very cautious. Anytime they pick a microphone to talk, they should be very careful. They should be very careful. Yeah.
Now, actually, politicians. Now, what about these people being used? The young men who are being used, and these people are also, in a way, in their own way, they feel they are correcting the government. What do you have to tell them?
We'll tell them, one, we are living in a country governed by the rule of law. So when you will be on the wrong side of the law, you will face consequences as an individual, not a collective responsibility. You will face those consequences as an individual. So we are also telling them they should not be cheaply used for violence. They should not be cheaply used for incitement. They should be wary of the consequences thereafter, and they will take it on their own. So when they will be charged in the court of law, when they will be convicted, they will be alone. So they should also be mindful about their future. For instance, my brother, you had talked earlier about the Gen Z demonstrations. Yes. We have a problem as a country on matters of unemployment. And this is not an issue that was created by the current government. When the late Kipkorir took over from President Moi, he inherited a huge number of people who are jobless. And we had no data to tell us at the time he took power, how many of our young people were not employed. So when Kibaki left, Uhuru also took over. He inherited also a huge number of people who are not employed. Likewise to Dr. William Ruto. So this is an issue that requires a national conversation, a sober national conversation. What are we going to do so that we can ensure both the private and the public sector create that opportunity for our people to be employed? And there is no government that can employ all its people all over the world. It can never happen. What matters is the enabling environment for both private and public sector to create those opportunities. So we need to have a national conversation on this. And there are people who are misleading the youth and telling them that it is the UDA government that caused this kind of unemployment. We have historical facts. We have historical facts that we were not given during the transition of all these governments. And we are telling our leaders, let us have a national conversation on this matter, so that we can have a way forward of addressing the way we can cut this question of unemployment. Because the young people are graduating yearly in thousands. So which government can come there and just employ all of them? Even those in the opposition, they are using this issue now to mislead the youth. Even if they are given power today, will they be able to employ all these young people? They can't. Yeah, they can. This is an issue that needs a national conversation. Yeah, so that the youth cannot be misled.
What do you think the current government is doing to curb this unemployment?
To some extent, to a very good scenario, President Ruto himself has taken over this matter and ensured that he has talked with a number of friends outside Kenya. And you have seen exportation of labor from Kenya to other countries. He has also went as far as establishing the Asola Fund, the current Nyota program, and those are part of helping these people to create an opportunity for them to earn. And we need to support it very seriously, because it is an initiative looking for the youth and to create an enabling environment for them to do something to earn a living. So the current government has tried to the best level of its ability, and they are still doing, they have not stopped. So this is not an overnight job. This is a progressive event that will eventually see a number of our youth placed somewhere, and they will be having an earning. So we appreciate the fact that the current government has tried its best level. Though we still have a number of people who are still unemployed and very needful in terms of social and economic empowerment, they have done the very best they were able to do. Yeah.
Naona pia kuna mtu anauliza, why is the human rights silent on the issue of Shadrach Maritim disappearance?
We are not silent on that issue. We are aware that there is an ongoing investigation. And you know, when investigation is going on, results will come out when only indicators are emerged. So maybe as where we are now, the police have not gotten that indicator that will come now to the public and say, okay, this is where we are. But as a fact, we are aware there is an investigation that is going on. And we also need to understand one thing that is very fundamental. Sometimes back, there has been these incidents of people disappearing for some time, and later on they emerge. And you see somebody emerges in very healthy, very strong, and say, okay, I was taken somewhere, I was somewhere, and this person is mentally and physically happy. So we also need to understand there are challenges also the security agents are facing. So I want to tell the viewer that there is an investigation going on. I'm aware as a human rights director. I've engaged with the security officers who are actually on that matter, and I believe it's a matter of time the truth will be known over that issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on activism exploitation? We have seen activists from this country going to another country kutetea zile haki zao. Kwa sababu, for example, I'd use Tanzania. Today Tanzania pia they had a bit of waliborozana kidogo. So what do you think? What is your opinion?
What I would say is that first of all, I will encourage my colleagues to be very, very, very cautious on matters foreign country. Kenya is a very different country. In terms of human rights, Kenya has done well, unlike our neighbors. So we also want to tell them they should be very, when you go out of your own country to another country to carry out activism, the question that normally comes in is that, are you an expert on that? Did any political party hire you so that you go and give out your expertise or services in that country? Because if you are hired, political parties to deal with a certain political strategy they want, they are allowed to do so. So they should not actually be engaging in a situation whereby they will endanger their lives. Because go and do that in a foreign land, that country, they will consider you first an aggressor. You have come here to disturb our stability. You see, you cannot just go there and join them and just say, okay, I'm from Kenya, I want to do this and this and this. There should be a proper arrangement of doing all those things. A friend is going to Uganda and trying to carry out activism in that country. They went overboard. They went overboard. Because the question, what were they going to do then? We are actually members of the Eastern African community. But when it comes to state, there is a difference on how Eastern African states are managed in terms of constitution and the prevailing laws in that country. So when you want to go there and find yourself locked in, The big question that comes in, who sent you there? What mission did you have by going to that place? Having our own stability. Even we as Kenyans, if other human rights activists come to this country and actually do what we call activism in this country, the Kenyan government has a right to question of that mission. Yeah.
We also saw other leaders, for example, what Cherargei said, and if the president who said if they come to the country, deal with them na warudishe Kenya tuwamalizie.
I think that is irresponsible utterance, especially coming from a senator who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. So it is actually totally irresponsible. It was not right for him to make such call that, okay, the person you are talking about is no longer there. Who will take the responsibility? So it was very bad for him to have spoken like that. It was high, and we are telling him, he should actually be very cautious on what he's talking about on such kind of issue. Yeah, it was wrong, especially an advocate who understands the law very well. Yeah.
Okay, wacha tuingie mambo ya siasa kidogo. Yesterday we saw the ODM was celebrating 20 years anniversary. And we have seen ODM now after the death of their party leader. May so rest in peace. Tumeona wamekuwa na mkutano kidogo na tuliweza kuona. What do you think of Babu Owino and his future politics now that what we saw yesterday reflected or hinted that he's going to
my brother?
Yes.
The Honorable Raila Odinga, may his soul rest in peace, was a great person. Democratic reforms that has happened in our country are largely attributed to him. And we are aware that they had a very serious conversation with His Excellency the President, and they agreed on a number of issues. And if there are any political parties that are better than election, is UDA and ODM. Leave alone this kind of excitement. What Babu Owino is just doing is just a very small. And I can tell you for sure, all these kind of noises that you are hearing will fizzle out before 2027 election.
But what he's saying is
of his own political status, having run for the first time and won that parliamentary seat, that should not.
And he's saying now the shield is no longer there. Meaning he was in safe landing. Whenever he was being attacked within the party, Baba ndio kama alikuwa kwa kwamba ya Baba. Alikuwa anamsaidia.
The ODM party. These are young people who are ambitious. Let us leave them. They are very young and they are good. It's because there was some certain action that the party wanted to take against errand boys within the ODM fraternity. Such kind of action, convincing the others that these are just young people who are just merely ambitious. Yeah. So don't escalate whatever they are doing. So let them there as young people who are very ambitious.
Yeah. You know, the reason I'm bringing that topic is because juzi pia ODM wamekuwa na election officials. That is why even Babu, when he was making his speech yesterday, he said, congratulations to those who were chosen. Lakini nyinyi mliona ni kama Babu hakuwa anatoshea hata kitu.
Before he asked that question, he should have asked himself one thing. Why was he left behind in the first instance? What happened? Because he should not stop, he should not come out and complain without telling us about the history that ODM knows about him. He had not been seen. He had been seen. He was there. He's a member of parliament for the ODM party. But you know, because of certain history that is known, that's why he was left out. So the future of ODM is brilliant in the context that they are the one going to form the next government with UDA. Before Baba engaged ODM on the question of broad-based government, he had a very exclusive discussion with His Excellency. And he took those issues to his people, the ODM party. They discussed and they agreed. So, for sure, ODM will remain united. What you are just seeing is that
we are seeing some kind of misunderstanding. Other SG for ODM Sifuna saying tusiwekele baba maneno kwa mdomo. Baba anasema nani
normally what we call strategies.
Yes.
And those strategies sometimes you at one particular point you make it known to your own political broad-based government. You are just telling these people, we still have a long way to go. Let us do what it is right now. 2027 is coming and will be there. So the likes of Kinasifuna, you see, there is a difference between leadership and excitement. There is a difference between leadership as a country. The talks between His Excellency, the President, Dr. William Ruto, and the late Honorable Raila Odinga is what will carry ODM.
ODM will demand a running mate comes 2027. So my question is, what will happen to the likes of Ngeti and the people of Bolivia?
You know, my brother, I know is that when two political parties come together, there will be an engagement. There will be an issue of give and take. That is normal for any formation, for any political formation. The seat of the deputy president or that, sometimes it is created, it's a debate created by certain people. And we know it's created to
So Gachagua now trying to rally the people of Mount Kenya. What do you think of his political impact comes 2027?
When Gachagua, something that comes out automatically about him is that this is a tribalist. This is a leader full of hatred. A true leader is a leader that looks Kenya as a country. But here is someone who thinks that East drives men and drives women, which is very wrong. He has planted hatred against people of Rift Valley, where the president comes from. He has planted hatred against the Luo nation. He has also the Somali and the Muslim community. So this is a tribalist and it's going nowhere. I can tell you for a fact it's going nowhere. Because his type of politics are not good for Kenya. Well, let me say one thing first before we go there. Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, in his own nature, has a very bad history. People know him, what he did. He's somebody who has a very bad history. The likes of Kalonzo Musyoka, it is only Baba who brought him to the table. When he was the Secretary General of Kano, many things went wrong, and he never spoke against all those things. So, where they want to take Kenya to? Kalonzo is busy isolating the Kambas from the rest of Kenyans. Gachagua is busy isolating the Kikuyu nation from the rest of Kenyans. So these are two tribalists coming together. So what type of leadership? I think they will only succeed in some quarters to assemble their tribesmen, but not the people of Kenya. The people of Kenya will fight for a leader who wants to bring Kenya together. They will not vote for tribalists and isolationists. You remember his politics of shares. Yes. What about today he has that power? What about if he is the chief executive of this country with those politics of shares? What will happen to this country? So he can stand a chance of isolating the Kikuyu nation from the rest of Kenya. Kalonzo also can stand a chance by isolating the Kamba nation from the rest of Kenya, but they don't stand a chance to bring Kenya together. They don't stand. And that's where they are going to fail.
What if Gachagua succeeds in uniting the Kambas and the Kikuyus? What will happen to William Samuel in 2027?
I'm asking that question. Kenyans are ready to vote for people who will unite this country. And you know, when the rest of Kenya comes together, which they will come under the leadership of President William Ruto, they will come. That kind of arrangement and that kind of formation will definitely form the next government. Let me give you an example. When you go to Western Kenya, the politics and the dynamics in Western Kenya is that the people of Western Kenya believes in hierarchy. And we only have two hierarchies in Western Kenya: the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Prime Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi. And nobody can cheat you that today the likes of or Natembea can just take the lawyers away from that hierarchy. It cannot happen. It is still what we call political excitement, and they are not going to make it. So the kind of formation that will come in the 2027 election is a formation of Kenya against the tribalists. And that's why we are saying, if they manage to bring them together, the Kambas and the Kikuyus together, they cannot defeat Kenyans. So that's a portion.
For example, now that you have talked about the Western community, do you think we have seen Natembea trying to position himself as a national leader? So, position himself as a kingpin in the Luhya community. So, do you think he will succeed, or will the Luhyas still maintain the island?
Let us go back to what I had said before.
Yes.
The late Michael Kijana Wamalwa managed to maintain the grip in the Luhya community because of three fundamental issues. One, the history of Michael Kijana Wamalwa as a reformist. Two, the experience that he had as an opposition leader, and eventually he became also a vice president. And he also commanded respect from the Luhya community. So what is the history of Natembea? Just some few years as a provisional administration to a politician. So what experience does he have? What history does he have for the Luhya community? He hasn't. It's also a question of being excited, thinking that now that he's a governor, he can galvanize the entire Western region to follow him where. And I don't believe there is anybody who comes from Luhya land that can stand today and say, Natembea, okay, you have taken us to vote for Kalonzo or Rigathi, we are behind you. That cannot happen. Those are just imagination. Those are just imagination. So let me ask you, my brother, how do you think that the Luhya nation, having known the history of this man called Mr. Gachagua, who talked about shares, will call today and say, okay, we are voting for him? That cannot happen. That's why I'm telling you the kind of formation that we are going to see in the 2027 election is Kenya versus tribalists. And they are not going to succeed. Imagine, he branded our brothers and sisters from the Somali community as terrorists. So nobody would wish to see such leader ascend into power. And he cannot get any votes from the Muslim community and the Somali community. They are all gone. And those communities are going to unite with Kenyans. Why was he branding them terrorists? We have the Kenyan Sabaos and we have the Ugandan Sabaos. What's the difference? We have the Kenyan couriers and the Kenyan and the Tanzanian couriers. Why was he specific against the Somali community? So we are going to see a formation of Kenya versus tribalists.
Now that you have said that Gachagua is a tribalist, and we have seen him trying to unite the Kikuyu community, are you in your own view, do you think the current government, when it comes to 2027, will be formed by the ODM and the UDM?
Very correct. The arrangement that is in now under the broad-based government will manage to bring Kenyans together. Why am I saying so? Rigathi Gachagua is assembling the Kikuyu nation for revenge. He's a revengeful leader. He's actually doing that for revenge mission, not for any good of the Kikuyu community. He's actually telling them, okay, can you assist me to punish His Excellency the President because I was impeached? So what type of leadership is that? You are bringing your own people for a revenge mission. And Kenyans will not allow them to go through. He has gone, he has united with Kalonzo. For the same purpose, let us punish President William Ruto. For what reason? They are not telling Kenyans, we are uniting to ensure that, okay, in terms of social and economic life of our people, we'll come and do this and that. They have actually made it very clear that they have only one mission, to remove Ruto from power. So what is that?
What will happen to the likes of the current Deputy President Ngetich come 2027?
Those are issues that will be discussed when time comes. Because you see, this is a government in office. We are not in campaign season. There's no campaign that has been declared. So those are issues that will be discussed when time comes. Yeah.
But we have already seen where the arrows are pointing. We have already seen there is an hint.
What we can say is that President Ruto has managed to get the best deputy president ever. Well versed in political knowledge. He's a very experienced lawyer. He's a good mobilizer. And he has the best interest of serving the nation. So he's the best deputy president ever seen in the Republic of Kenya.
What impact does he have on Mount Kenya?
I think when you talk of Mount Kenya politics, is that the former deputy president has tried his best endeavor to sow seeds of discourse against the people who are serving in the UDA government, especially those who come from Mount Kenya region. The deputy president comes from the larger male community, and he commands a lot of respect. And we have seen on many occasions, he has traversed most places in central Kenya, and he commands respect. So he has an impact. He has an impact. And for sure, let us watch the Mbere North by-election, and people will see what will happen there.
And now people will think it is because the government will invest their arsenal just to prove their superiority.
And that is politics. Yeah. Politics is determined by the nature of the strength that you have.
But it will not determine the strength of
If they have the strength to convince them to vote for their own candidate, then that's okay. And they have that strength to convince the people. Why am I saying so? The president has done a lot of development across all over the country. You see? He has removed this question of marginalization. He has removed this question of sympathy. He's not sympathizing with anybody. He's doing the development across the country. And by doing that alone, it will encourage many people to vote for the UDA government.
What are these developments that you're talking about that the current government has done?
We have seen road infrastructure. We have seen affordable house. We have seen the SHA and many others. We have seen also connection of electricity or power across all over the country. You know, the problem in Kenya is that there is a certain script, and I'm sorry to say that, by certain media houses trying to portray Kenya as a failed state, trying to portray that there is nothing going on in Kenya in terms of development and progress. Kenya is progressing well. Look, for example, When the current president of the United States came in, he came in with different policies because policies are not unanimous. You see? And it has never happened. Any regime that comes in comes with their policies. So the current government of Kenya has its own policies. They might not be popular with other people, but you cannot force a government to have what we call unanimous policies. If they will come into power, they will also have their own policies, which might not be the same as UDA. So, according to the policies that UDA has, they have done the best. They have done the best. In terms of progress, they have really done the best. Yeah.
So, in your own view, how would you rate President Ruto's government so far in terms of development?
What I can say is that he has managed to do what Kenya didn't expect, especially in terms of road network, in terms of power connection, in terms of infrastructure generally. He has done good. Contrary to the expectation of many, he has done the best. And this is a president who has ambition, and this is the president who has a future of this nation in his own hands. And he's determined to go beyond where people think that he might not be. Because he has the energy, he has the capacity, and he has the will to do that. Yeah.
Okay, we have seen also the Gen Zs, let me just use this. The Gen Zs are mobilizing themselves in preparation for 2027. So maybe tukimalizia unaweza ambia nini watu ambao wanaangalia in the what should they expect come 2027? Because we have seen the Gen Zs are preparing. We have also seen the politicians. There is a watu ground wanalalamika sana, wanasema mambo ya one term for the local politicians and local leaders. So sijui unaweza ambia nini? What should they expect come 2027?
One thing that we need to take to our young people is that as they mobilize themselves, what are they mobilizing themselves for? What do they want to do? What is their cause? What is their cause? Because you see, when you do mobilization, you must have a cause. What is their cause? The only advice we will give them is that please register yourself in large numbers, make the right decision, make the right choice that will determine your future as young people of this nation. Because you see, you cannot just be excited and say, okay, we want to remove this regime. So, okay, it has been removed. What is next for you? In terms of social and economic life, what is there for you at stake? So, they should also be very cautious on some political scavengers who would wish to take advantage of their large numbers to gain popularity. You see, when people say, okay, we want Gen Z to vote for us, especially the opposition, they want to take advantage of their numbers to ascend into power. So once you have ascended into power, what will you do to those young people? So they should be very cautious not to be misled by certain political scavengers who are now looking for their votes only to make them go to power. So we are telling them, kindly register in large numbers. And we are not seeing these young people going to registration centers. That's the problem also that we are facing. It has been announced that there is registration going on, but we are not seeing them mobilizing themselves to register as voters. So they should not be misused, they should not be misguided. Yeah.
But we have seen these politicians are now in charge of mobilizing they have been given that mandate in charge of mobilizing the youth too, and the other citizens to take the votes. But now our Gen Zs are saying, we are going to replace these leaders with our own.
Who?
So maybe they have
who is there? Who is that? You see, my brother, what the Gen Zs actually should do if they want what we call progressive and promising leadership, they should come out. We want to see them coming out and saying, okay, I'll be fine for parliamentary seat of a particular constituency. I'll be fine for governorship for a particular county. Why are we not seeing them coming out like that? So they are mobilizing for what? Because they should come in and they should have leadership. Yeah.
Tukimalizia hata tuchukue tu swali moja, naona kuna mtu anasema uliza director what is his view on the PA for William Ruto buying for Tarbo constituency.
We are living in a democratic society whereby there are rights for people to choose whatever they want to do. So we cannot choose for him. He has rights as any ordinary Kenyan to do what is rightfully for him as a Kenyan. If he wants that seat today, it is his own choice. Yeah, it is there in the constitution.
Maybe in that line, wacha tunikuulize kwa maoni yako, what do you think about his impact? Kwa sababu tumeona ni kama he has now diverted from being the presidential aide to being his political, I can say, hub. Kwa sababu we have seen he has been on the front line mobilizing people to vote in the Malala by-election. Na pia mambo ya empowerment.
I think he's doing great, and that's the meaning of personal assistant. In fact, he's effectively doing the kind of work he's supposed to do. He's assisting the president, and we congratulate him for that. He's actually doing the kind of work he's supposed to do, assisting the president, and that's very correct.
Asante sana director, maybe tukimalizia tu your final remarks.
Maybe nitasema hayo kwa Kiswahili. Tunaomba wananchi wote wa Kenya wawe watulivu, wawe na amani, na waepuke siasa za chuki na uhasama miongoni mwao, kwa sababu tuna taifa ya kulinda. Na kama tuko na taifa ya kulinda, tuache siasa ya chuki na ukabila. Sisi wote tuwe kitu kimoja, tuwe nchi moja, na tujue ya kwamba Kenya ikiharibika, sisi sote hatuna mahali pa kukimbilia. Kwa mfano, yale ambayo yanatendeka katika nchi majirani kwetu, lazima tujifunze mengi na tujue ya kwamba sisi Kenya tumepiga hatua kubwa sana kwa haki za binadamu. Tumepiga hatua kubwa sana, kwa sababu yale ambayo yanatendeka kule hayatendeki hapa kwetu. Kwa hivyo tuchunge nchi yetu na tukuwe na amani, na ninahimiza vijana wetu mwende mkachukue kura ili mpate hiyo nafasi ya kuamua Kenya itaenda wapi.
Sawa, asante sana director. Thank you so much for your leadership. We appreciate your leadership in the human rights space. Na tunasema asante sana also for coming to the show, kutuelimisha, kutufungua macho. Tumeona kumbe you have a very rich understanding also in the political area. So thank you so much. We are hoping that we will invite you again and you will come pia tukiendelea na mambo ya siasa ikiendelea. So we'll be inviting you again. To our viewers, asante sana. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Kipkorir. This is the Arena Show. Remember, each and every Sunday at 8 p.m. we are coming to you live, bringing you very bold and filtered and real conversations from our politicians, newsmakers, and key figures that are always shaping the region. So thank you so much. See you next time and have a very lovely good night.